Hello and welcome. Namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Bangladesh's central bank releases images of 6 redesigned banknotes. The nation's founder, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, will no longer figure on the nation's currency. South Korea's opposition celebrates first exit poll projections as they put Lee Jae-myung ahead in the presidential race. The nation underwent a snap poll after Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment over his botched martial law bid. Political heat in the Netherlands leaves its right-wing government on thin ice. Dutch far-right leader Geert Wilders' PVV party walks out of the governing coalition. Snap polls likely. And the rain gods have been kind in Ahmedabad as it has stopped pouring in the city, hosting the final of this year's Indian Premier League between Royal Challengers Bengaluru and Punjab Kings. First up, the Bangladesh Bank, which is the central bank of that country, has released images of 6 newly designed banknotes that will soon be in circulation. Notably, these new notes will not feature the image of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Bangladesh Bank Governor Dr. Ehsan H. Mansoor presented the new designs to Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus on Tuesday. According to a spokesperson of the central bank, the redesigned currency notes will instead showcase images of significant national landmarks, including Hindu and Buddhist temples. Meanwhile, all existing banknotes and coins featuring Mujibur Rahman will continue to be valid alongside the new series. In the Netherlands, the Dutch far-right leader Geert Wilders' PVV party has left the governing coalition. It's a move that is said to topple the right-wing government and will likely lead to new elections. Wilders said his coalition partners were not willing to support his ideas on halting asylum migration. Many of the additional proposals put forward by Wilders had been dismissed during coalition talks because of legal concerns. By toppling the coalition over the issue of asylum, it's likely Wilders will put it at the center of his campaign in the snap elections that are likely to be called.
We
wanted a stricter asylum policy, more than stated in the main coalition government agreement. You can also see that many countries in the European Union, Austria, Poland, Germany, Belgium are going to take further measures. The main agreement also stated that we would be among the strictest country in Europe in terms of admission. We have not been doing that for a long time. So I also think that this tightening is completely in line with the outlined government agreement. The fact that the other coalition partners did not sign this is therefore actually a conflict with the government agreement.
Some Dutch lawmakers expressed anger while others sighed with relief after Wilders left the governing coalition. Dylan Jesselgoes Zeresius, the leader of the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy, called Wilders' decision incredibly irresponsible. The Kremlin has asserted that Ukraine's peace efforts are complex and that it would be wrong to expect any imminent decisions. The reaction came after delegations of the two warring sides met for barely an hour in the Turkish city of Istanbul without any breakthrough on the proposed ceasefire. However, the talks did yield an agreement to conduct a new prisoner exchange. More in this report.
The latest round of peace talks between Ukraine and Russia held in Istanbul on Monday concluded with some positive developments. Both Russia and Ukraine agreed to hand over bodies of 6,000 killed soldiers. Although Moscow has rejected call for an unconditional ceasefire, it offered instead a partial truce of 2 to 3 days in some areas of the front line. Russia says it will only agree a full ceasefire if Kyiv gives up big new chunks of territory and accepts limits on the size of its army.
First, we have handed over our memorandum to the Turkish side, which consists of two parts. First, we have to achieve a real long-term peace. And the second part is what steps should be taken to make a full-fledged ceasefire possible. Moreover, in the second part, there is even a variety of options to enter this path or this path. The memorandum is quite detailed and worked through properly from our side. Therefore, the Ukrainian side decided to take it for study. If they study it, they will react to it, and we will see.
Ukrainian delegation gave a list of nearly 400 children it wanted Russia to return, but Russian delegation agreed to work on returning only 10 of them.
Regarding the children, we handed over a list of almost 400 children to the Russians, and they promised us to work out something in this field, but only up to 10 children. This is what their vision on humanitarian issues looks like.
Turkey proposed that Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and US President Donald Trump come together for a third round later this month. US President Donald Trump says he's open to the meeting. Bureau Report, DD India.
Now, if there's only two problems the German or even the European economies are suffering from, it would be Russia-Ukraine conflict and a historic meltdown of trade relations. Both topics tie directly into the United States. This week, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz will be in the US to meet President Donald Trump. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Well, how are you, Lars? What's on top of the agenda for the Chancellor?
Thanks for having me. Well, you named the two problems we are facing. Now it seems the number one topic on the agenda for this bilateral meeting will be Russia's war in Ukraine. And rightly so. This geopolitical crisis, a war of aggression in Europe and now in its fourth year, it's obviously the most pressing problem to be solved internationally. And we've been at a crossroads lately after US President Trump has often taken Russia's side in the conflict. He's blamed Ukraine for the war. He dismissed it as a regional conflict that the Europeans were supposed to deal with. And just very recently, over the past few weeks, Trump seemed to have come around again to see that Russia's Vladimir Putin might just be the aggressor and the one who will have to move towards achieving peace in the region. Anyway, now Merz has one clearly defined goal. He needs to convince Trump to increase pressure on Putin, to criticize and ideally sanction Russia, to pull any support from Putin, even if it's just words of encouragement or criticism of Ukraine. Merz will try to bring the US back to the table, hoping that economic sanctions from the US against Russia can force Putin to actually negotiate.
Well, Lars, so much for the personality of the two leaders, but is there anything substantial helping Merz win Trump's favor?
Yes, there is indeed. So Trump has long criticized Europeans for not investing enough in defense in the country's individual militaries. But it's exactly here where things are moving. Confronted with the reality of Russia's war in Ukraine and the US shying away from the conflict, Merz has said he wants to invest 5% of Germany's GDP into defense. 3.5% would go straight into the military, with the remaining 1.5% going into the country's infrastructure. That begs the question, of course, is that really a 5% pledge then? And yes, it is, because in case of a war, for example, a country located as centrally in the heart of Europe as Germany is, obviously we need a functioning infrastructure with rail, roads and bridges, airports and harbors and such. So indeed, Merz's plans for investment might placate Trump and ideally bring the US back a bit closer towards Germany and the European Union.
All right. Well, let's see which way things go when he actually reaches D.C. and is face-to-face with Donald Trump. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Lars. Now, members of South Korea's Democratic Party cheered on Tuesday as their candidate Lee Jae-myung is projected to win the country's snap presidential election. This is according to projections by the country's broadcasters. Joint exit polls by broadcasters KBS, MBC and SBS put Lee on 51.7% and his Conservative rival Kim Moon-soo on 39.3%. The exit poll has in previous elections mostly been in line with the final results. A separate poll by broadcaster JTBC put Lee on 50.6% and Kim on 39.4%. Channel A also predicted a Lee win by similar margins. Now, around 78% of South Korea's 44.39 million eligible voters had cast their ballots to pick the leader of Asia's fourth largest economy. Both Lee and his conservative rival Kim Moon-soo pledged change for the country, saying a political system and economic model set up during its rise as a budding democracy and industrial power are no longer fit for purpose. US President Donald Trump on Monday ruled out allowing Iran to enrich uranium under any nuclear deal between the two foes, as Tehran defended what it says was a peaceful pursuit of fuel for power generation. Uranium enrichment has remained a key point of contention in 5 rounds of talks since April to ink a new accord to replace the deal with major powers that Trump abandoned during his first term in 2018. According to the latest proposal that Washington had sent to Tehran on Saturday, it would allow limited low-level uranium enrichment on Iranian soil for an amount of time that is yet to be determined. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has met with UN nuclear watchdog's chief Rafael Grossi in Cairo and said if the goal is to deprive Iran of its peaceful activities, then certainly no agreement will be reached. The remarks came after Grossi of the International Atomic Energy Agency on Monday called for more transparency from Iran following a leaked report which showed Tehran had stepped up uranium enrichment. The IAEA report showed that Iran has ramped up production of uranium enriched up to 60%, close to the roughly 90% level needed for atomic weapons. Turkmenistan's President Serdar Berdimuhamedov concluded a state visit to Mongolia marked by extensive negotiations with Mongolian President in Ulaanbaatar. The visit focused on strengthening bilateral cooperation across political, economic, cultural and humanitarian spheres. The leaders discussed regional and international issues with a focus on trade, transport and support for landlocked developing countries. During the visit, 14 documents were signed, including an agreement to establish an intergovernmental commission on bilateral cooperation aiming to enhance partnership in key areas. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan delivers lecture on future wars and warfare. India's northeastern part reels under severe floods.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, while delivering a special lecture on future wars, spoke about the success of Operation Sindoor. He added that operation was a big achievement and created history.
Operation Sindoor created a kind of a history of sorts as far as air warfare is concerned. Successful operations were carried out against an adversary which was almost equally matched. It is not operations against an adversary which had no air force or no air defense worth a shot. So it was against an adversary, and against that, if you are able to carry out relentless operations deep inside with precision and offensive in intent, I think that was a big achievement, and we were able to penetrate those air defense networks with impunity and at will.
As part of India's continued efforts under Operation Sindoor and in line with India's principled and resolute stance against terrorism, different all-party delegations are conveying to the world India's strong message of zero tolerance towards terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. An all-party delegation led by BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad interacted with the media in London. The delegation spoke about the need for strong and determined measures against terrorism. Group 7 of the all-party delegation led by NCP Sharad Pawar MP Supriya Sule held a meeting with Ahmed about Abul Gheid, Secretary General of the League of Arab States in Cairo, Egypt. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal is visiting France, where he held a bilateral meeting with key international players. On Tuesday, the minister met with Director General of World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and Saudi Arabia's Commerce Minister. Earlier, Piyush Goyal held a meeting with France's Minister Delegate for Foreign Trade, Laurent Saint-Martin, in Paris, where both the leaders discussed ways to deepen economic cooperation between the two nations. Now moving on to weather, and the Indian Met Department has issued an orange alert for 11 states including Uttar Pradesh and Punjab, warning of intense rainfall, thunderstorms and potential weather disruptions. In the IMD's forecast, it has been cautioned that heavy rainfall would persist on the 3rd of June in the northeast Indian states of Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya as well as Tripura. The IMD has also said the region would continue to witness rainfall activity for the next 5 to 7 days. The forecast for Delhi today also indicated the possibility of mostly cloudy skies, mild rain, thunderstorms and strong winds. The highest temperature is expected to be between 35 to 37 degrees Celsius, providing some relief from persistent summer highs. The IMD has issued a yellow alert urging residents to stay weather aware. Meanwhile, the flood situation in Assam has significantly been aggravated, with Shribhumi being the worst hit district, followed by Kachar and Nagaon. According to the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, the river Brahmaputra, Barak and all their tributaries are flowing above the danger mark. Rescue operations have been ongoing round the clock. The state government has opened 165 relief camps and 157 relief distribution centers. District administrations have deployed SDRF teams for rescue and relief operations. So far, one person has died in the district due to the flooding. And in Sikkim, the first group of stranded individuals were successfully evacuated from Chatan on Monday. 2 Mi-17 B-5 helicopters completed the evacuation mission, landing safely in Pakyong Greenfield Airport with 34 evacuees on board. Apart from the valley areas of Imphal East and West, Thubal, Bishnupur and Kakching districts, flooding has severely affected several villages in Senapati, while landslides have been reported from Ukhrul, Phezol, None and Temenglong. Authorities have opened 31 relief camps, reported damage at 14 infrastructure sites and confirmed that at least 3,365 homes have been impacted. Approximately 1,599 people have been relocated to safer areas. 1,599 does sound quite exact and not approximate, but then that's how copies go. Now, under Operation Jal Rahat 2, the Assam Rifles operating under HQ Eastern Command continue their tireless humanitarian and disaster relief operations across Manipur and Tripura. A total of 10 columns have been deployed by the Inspector General Assam Rifles, with one additional column on standby at Haflong for rapid response. 8 columns positioned across Porapat, JNIMS, Wanghai and Wangki have so far rescued 2,629 civilians, provided medical aid to 250 individuals and ensured distribution of essential food and water supplies. Meanwhile, 2 columns operating in Chandrapur, Resham Bagan, Bhutan Khal and Kamranga have rescued 200 people and provided immediate medical and food assistance. India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Secretary Sanjay Jaju visited the Phase 1 campus of the Indian Institute of Creative Technology at the National Museum of Indian Cinema in Mumbai. I beg your pardon. Now, during his visit, he chaired board meetings to review preparations for Phase 1 campus, expected to be inaugurated in July 2025 in the presence of Maharashtra Chief Minister and Union INB Minister. He also assessed construction progress at the upcoming IICT Goregaon Centre in Film City, which is slated for completion within 2 years. The Secretary later toured the National Museum of Indian Cinema and the IICT Phase 1 facilities. Time now to get you some sporting updates as well, and one last match is now awaited, which will lead to the crowning of a new IPL champion, as Ahmedabad is set to witness the grand tussle between Royal Challengers Bengaluru and Punjab Kings later in the evening. Both the teams are locking horns for one final time in IPL 2025 with an aim to end their 17-year-long title drought. And even the rain gods are now smiling because the rain has stopped. As far as the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad is concerned, take a look.
The stage is set for the finale of the Indian Premier League 2025. It's the Royal Challengers Bengaluru who will be locking horns with Punjab Kings at Ahmedabad. RCB booked spot in the final after getting better off Punjab in the Qualifier 1, while Punjab Kings got a second chance in Qualifier 2, where they defeated Mumbai Indians. PBKS and RCB had finished number 1 and 2 in the league stage with 9 wins, 4 defeats and 1 no result each in 14 games. There was very little difference between their net run rates too. While PBKS had defeated RCB in Bengaluru, RCB won the reverse fixture in Mullanpur. While Rajat Patidar's Bengaluru were flawless in away conditions, becoming the first team to win all 7 away games in the league stage of an edition, the Kings were clinical in managing defeats as Iyer's side never endured 2 defeats in succession. PBKS' success in IPL 2025 has revolved around their uncapped Indian players, while RCB have traditionally been the home of the game's biggest superstars. They have shed that persona this time. Their captain Rajat Patidar has 4 international caps to his name. Their vice-captain Jitesh Sharma 9. RCB, who finished runners-up in 2009, 2011 and 2016, will be appearing in their 4th IPL final. PBKS have been in an IPL final only once before, in 2014, when they were known as Kings 11 Punjab and lost to Kolkata Knight Riders. Their captain Shreyas Iyer is the first IPL player to lead 3 different teams to the finals. He was captain of Delhi Capitals in 2020 final and led KKR to the title in 2024. Both teams will now set out to end their 17-year-long title drought when they clash for one final time in IPL 2025 final. One team will bask in the ecstasy of victory, while the other will endure the agony of near-miss heartbreak. Sports Desk, DD India.
The International Cricket Council on Monday announced that the upcoming edition of the 8-team Women's ODI World Cup will take place from the 30th of September to the 2nd of November across 5 venues in India and Sri Lanka. These are Bengaluru, Guwahati, Indore, Visakhapatnam and Colombo, which have been designated for the tournament. The Sri Lankan capital will be organizing all games featuring Pakistan. The event will commence in Bengaluru with India playing the first game. The last ICC Global Women's event hosted by India was the ICC Women's T20 World Cup in 2016, when it was held alongside the men's event. The venues for the knockouts will depend on Pakistan's qualification, as 2 alternative venues have been identified for one semi-final and then the final. So that will be something to look out for. And that's it as far as this edition of DD India Live is concerned. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here, thanks for watching DD India Live. And up next, you have something special coming up on the Indian Premier League, its final day.